I'm Michael Levitt. I'm the Senior Director of CDC Development Solutions. It's an organization that works around the world to build up the capacity of local companies to capture contracts, usually from big companies in the extraction industry. Trying to work within the oil and gas industry, the needs are endless. There are so many kinds of companies, construction, logistics, all the way down to food services and security, trucking. The array in upstream, midstream, and downstream production of oil and gas are in the tens of thousands of kinds of jobs. There are going to be hundreds and hundreds of contracts that are going to be available to meet the needs of the big oil producers and their famous first-tier suppliers, companies like Bechtel that are famous, that supply many of the contracts that meet the oil and gas company needs. The demand from those companies is huge. The ability of Ohio companies to capture those contracts will be the big issue, because there are many companies around this country that can already do that for the oil and gas sector. So how can Ohio companies compete and win contracts from the big oil companies? The first thing about Ohio is the oil and gas are here. That means the big producers come here to get it. So that's edge number one. Edge number two is that you really have to do some planning if you're going to have a big win in the oil and gas sector. So the fact that the state is willing to organize, meet the needs through the government, through the university system, through the business associations, their willingness to work together will help a lot of individual companies compete and win contracts. That's another major edge. A third one is there's a history of developing new technologies here. And the big wins for Ohio aren't going to come in 2012, they're going to come in 2014 and 15 and 16. And so the companies that can think ahead, get ahead, and perform best in show, best in class are going to be the winners, and Ohio has a tradition of that. You know, when any big new industry comes into a region, the impacts are huge on housing, on transportation, on the infrastructure. And meeting them is always a challenge, because everyone always seems to be a step behind. Trying to figure out what that demand is going to be on infrastructure and housing is key to meeting that demand in a timely fashion. As far as I can tell, having worked around the world, no one has ever been really prepared for this kind of impact. But recognizing what's coming and what one can do about it, arranging the government regulations, the tax system that can help meet public needs in education, is all important. And gatherings like what's going on today is an indication that Ohio is trying to get ahead, and so won't be caught up short, won't be caught surprised, and the public will be well served by the addition of the industry. And the oil curse that hits some countries won't be a curse, it'll be a benefit in Ohio.
Right.
The real measurement of success in working in any sector like oil and gas is not the first contract you win, it's the next contract you win. Because after you win that first one, you will become a high-performance, innovative, strong company. And that allows you and your employees to go out into any new sector, be innovative in that sector, capture new jobs, do new business. And the effect on the community is somewhat the same. You know, the first effect is, my goodness, how are we going to meet the housing requirements? How are we going to meet the engineering requirements? Then you realize, boy, we've got these tax revenues that we can do something with. We have new people in town. We have innovation. They've worked around the world. We can learn from them. So the social license that comes along with new industry can really be a benefit, where you may have heard of the oil curse in many developing countries. That usually comes when governments aren't prepared and when the economy isn't prepared. Here, if everybody's prepared, it won't be a curse, it'll be a benefit, and society and the communities will be beneficiaries. The big message one of the big messages for me in this kind of gathering is that folks are always ready to train for new jobs. In this situation, you have to train for new contracts. You have to understand that the big oil companies have huge requirements and qualifications, standards that you have to meet. And companies, no matter how good they are, have to prepare better to capture these contracts, to compete for them. And then, if you capture them, you got to be able to actually implement with them. It's not easy to do. So training, not for the job, but training for the contract is a key measure of success for this industry.